Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for Tuesday, September 23rd. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks. That's going to be 5 players in total, 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. That's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. And then we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk through my top GPP teams to stack for Tuesday's slate overall. If you're looking for a couple additional stacks beyond that, be sure to check out my MLB DFS notes over on the Patreon page. Very small monthly donation over there. You get access to that. You get access to my CFL DFS sheets for a month, as well as my NFL DFS player pool and snap count spreadsheet. And then in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report that have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I'll also be listing as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening. So definitely make sure that you are checking up down in that comment section so that you do have the most up-to-date and relevant information, especially as we do head into lock. But without further ado, we'll get started with the core picks. We're going to start off at that pitcher position. I ultimately ended up on Lucas Giolito today, and he's at $8,300, currently averaging just over 29 fantasy points per game. Going against the Toronto Blue Jays, he has 2 starts for them so far this season. He had 46 and 34 points in those starts, both very respectable numbers, so if we get a similar type of performance out of him today, would definitely like that. He did not pitch at all in 2024, so obviously he did not face the Toronto Blue Jays last season. But if we look at what he's done so far in the season, he's got 10 wins, 3.46 ERA, and currently averaging just over 29 fantasy points per game at $8,300. I don't think there's like many standout pitchers today, but obviously if you want to mix and match some of those guys there, definitely makes a lot of sense just in general. Then we move down our hitters. We're going to start off at catcher. I got Drake Baldwin here at $2,700. Currently averaging just over 9 fantasy points per game. He is going against the Washington Nationals. Brad Lord is the expected starting pitcher for them, and he is 2 for 5 versus Brad Lord in his young career. And he is currently on a 5-game hitting streak. He has 3 multi-hit games during that time span, 2 home runs, and 5 double-digit performances. So definitely do like the upside that Drake Baldwin's offered as of late. If we look at what he's done so far in the season, 270 batting average, 18 home runs, 76 RBIs, currently averaging over 9 fantasy points per game at $2,700. Looks like one of the better value plays on today's slate overall. Then we're going to move down to third base, and I'm going to go with Royce Lewis here at $3,000, and he's currently averaging over 8.5 fantasy points per game, going against the Texas Rangers, and it's kind of been like back and forth whether or not it's going to be Jacob deGrom or Patrick Corbin. At this point in time, looks like Patrick Corbin. I know FanDuel is still listed as Jacob deGrom. Obviously, if it's deGrom, we'll switch over to a different player, but if it's Patrick Corbin, looks a little bit better. But Royce Lewis is 1 for 3 in his career versus Patrick Corbin. He has at least 1 hit in 5 out of his last 6 games, 2 multi-hit games, 1 home run, 3 double-digit performances, and 4 games of 9 fantasy points or higher. So definitely do like the upside that he could have going against Patrick Corbin of the Texas Rangers. And if we look at what Royce Lewis has been able to do so far this season, 238 batting average, 13 home runs, 51 RBIs, once again averaging just over 8.5 fantasy points per game at $3,000. And then we're going to move down to outfield. We got Heliot Ramos here at $3,100, currently averaging just under 9.5 fantasy points per game going against St. Louis Cardinals. Andre Payante is the expected starting pitcher for them. He is 2 for 6 with 1 home run in his career going against Andre Payante. And if we look at what Heliot Ramos has been able to do as of late, he's got at least 1 hit in 2 out of his last 3 games, 1 multi-hit game, 1 home run, 1 double-digit performance, and 2 games of 9 fantasy points or higher. So it's kind of a back-and-forth season for Heliot Ramos just in general, but definitely do like the potential upside in this matchup. He currently has a 256 batting average, 18 home runs, 62 RBIs, once again averaging just under 9.5 fantasy points per game at $3,100. And then the last player that I do have here is going to be down the utility spot in Eugenio Suarez. So initially I was debating between him and Royce Lewis at third base. Ultimately, in my initial core picks, I had Ozzie Albies listed in my notes because he had pretty good history versus Brad Lord in the past. He's been doing decent as of late, but unfortunately he did get hit in the arm early on in Monday's game, so I did ultimately end up swapping off of him to Eugenio Suarez. He's at $3,500, currently averaging over 11.5 fantasy points per game, goes against the Colorado Rockies, and McCabe Brown is the expected starting pitcher for them. I believe it's his 5th or 6th career start. So Eugenio Suarez has no history versus him in the past, but he does have at least 1 hit in 4 out of his last 5 games, 2 multi-hit games during that time span, 2 home runs, 3 double-digit performance, and 4 games of at least 9 fantasy points or higher. So I definitely do like the upside, especially what he's been able to do as of late, as well as a little bit of potential floor at the same time as well. And if we look at what Eugenio Suarez has been able to do on the season in totality, 231 batting average, 47 home runs, 113 RBIs, once again averaging just over 11.5 fantasy points per game at $3,500. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do have listed here, you got $14,400 remaining, $3,600 remaining on average per player. Obviously, stacks will play a pretty big role, as we do have 4 different hitters from 4 different teams. Don't have to play all 4 together. Just kind of an idea of some of the guys that I do like today, especially based on that past performance as well as recent history. So get a little bit creative in terms of stacks. I think it's 11 game main slate overall in total. But with that being said, we'll get moved over my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Tuesday's slate overall. So we're going to start off with the San Francisco Giants. They are going against Andre Payente of the St. Louis Cardinals. A lot of their hitters have hit him really well in the past, so definitely do like getting to them. And then we have the Seattle Mariners, who I did talk a little bit about in my core picks, but they're going against McKay Brown, making his 5th or 6th career start, so definitely do like the upside that they do have against him. No history versus him in the past, but if you want to get to Cal Raleigh, Eugenio Suarez, Julio Rodriguez, definitely does make a lot of sense to get to some exposure to those hitters just in general. And then we move over to the Kansas City Royals, and they are expected to be going against Sam Aldergari, probably mispronouncing his name, but they do have no history versus him in the past. Royals team has been hitting the ball pretty well just in general, so definitely do like getting into some of their hitters. And then last but not least, we have the Atlanta Braves, who have limited history in the past versus Brad Lord, but it is pretty good history at that, so definitely do like getting into their lineup once again, although it has been a very disappointing season for that Atlanta Braves team. But with that being said, these are my core picks as well as top GPP teams to stack for Tuesday, September 23rd. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then once again in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report to have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I will also be listing as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening. So definitely make sure that you are checking up down in the comment section below so that you do have the most up-to-date and relevant information as possible. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have MLB DFS in terms of the core picks. This is the very last week, so we'll be having a video for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday slates, so definitely feel free to check all of those out. It definitely has been a good and exciting season once again, and then I do have my CFL DFS video coming out once a week, typically on Wednesday, so definitely feel free to check that out if that's something you're into as well. And then I will also have my NFL DFS video coming out once a week. That's either going to be coming out on Friday or Saturday. It's going to vary a little bit week to week, but definitely be on the lookout for that at the same time as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user to either one of those sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks, it's a 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS for Tuesday, September 23rd.